What's up guys, DrFeelGood here, back again with another video prescription. And today I want to talk about the most innovative console ever developed. No, I'm not talking about the Nintendo Switch, although it is a very cool console. I love it to death, I've been playing the hell out of it. That's not what I'm talking about. To me, and I even think factually speaking, the Wii U was the most innovative console ever designed. And I'm going to go over the reasons and or features of why I think such a thing. Now I know some of you are thinking, it's a dead console. If it was so innovative, why didn't it sell that well? Truth of the matter is, in today's industry, today's society, the best products are not always the best selling. Any person with common sense knows this. But let's move on. There are many reasons why I believe the Wii U to be the best, most innovative console ever. Of course, first up is the gamepad. It speaks for itself. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, it was underutilized, and you will be correct. However, that does not take away from the fact that it was a very innovative feature. One could even argue that it was ahead of its time. Truly. All the things you can do with the gamepad, the possibilities were almost limitless with it. Truly. Asymmetric gameplay was something that I talked about in my last video, which was a godsend to gaming, but was very underappreciated. Having the built-in sensor bar allowed you to play Wiimote-centric games strictly off the gamepad. Yes, to those of you that don't know, maybe because you didn't have a Wii U, the Wii U actually had a sensor bar built into the gamepad itself. Not the one that was similar to the Wii that came with the Wii, as it also came with the Wii U, but it had a sensor bar built into the gamepad itself at the very top. So you could literally play a Wii game off the gamepad strictly using the sensor bar and pointing the Wiimotes at it. Oh yeah. It also had a built-in camera, which added a nice little element to games. Seeing the face of your opponent, as demonstrated on Nintendo Land, was pretty damn cool. I have more than a few gameplay segments that I've recorded with family and friends. We're playing Nintendo Land, and some of those games actually show, while you're playing, it shows the person who's holding the gamepad is recording their face real time and displaying it on the television, while the other players using Wii remotes and playing on the TV can see that face. It truly can. It did that. So very cool. When I think about that feature in itself, I imagine what that could have done, both good and bad, for online gaming. Like, for example, imagine the Call of Duty kill cam showing your opponent's frustrated face, or of course, offensive gestures. Imagine that. Imagine if you kill someone and then in the kill cam, it shows the gameplay, but also shows their picture if they were playing with the gamepad, and it shows their face if it was pointed at their face. That would have been cool as hell. Of course, with the built-in camera, it also had video chat. Very underutilized. I only used it a few times myself, and some people didn't use it at all. But still, it was there. What other console out of the box without need of any additional accessories gave you video chat? I think the Xbox One with Kinect did, I believe. I'm not sure. I didn't buy the first iteration. I knew better not to. But it had video chat. It was pretty cool. And keep in mind, these are all features that were built into the gamepad. Still a part of the Wii U console, which you get what I'm saying. This is not a gamepad video. This is about the Wii U as a whole. But moving on. having the built-in mic was a nice touch. Although not the best quality, it pretty much eliminated the need to purchase an external mic. You didn't have to. Although I have a wireless headset and a wired one that works with all consoles, even still, the Wii U and its gamepad, it had a built-in microphone. And some games, very few, but some games actually utilized it. Along with the microphone, it had built-in speakers, which added yet another element to gaming. Now, of course, the most obvious one was the off-TV play, in that you can play a game completely without using a TV whatsoever. You can play it strictly on the gamepad. And of course, the gamepad had stereo speakers left and right. And they weren't super weak either. They were actually pretty loud. There's been more than a few times I was playing a game strictly on the gamepad and people were telling me to turn it down. So it was pretty nice. Another aspect of having the built-in speakers, and it was utilized more than a few times by Nintendo, was giving the gamepad specific sound output for the gamepad. Okay, for example, when you turn on the Wii U and it's playing this little background tune, music or whatever, there are certain sounds that only come from the gamepad. The TV may play the primary melody or theme, while the gamepad is handling stuff like the snares or maybe the ambient noises, things like that. But yes, that was actually a thing, where they would split the sound process responsibilities. They give the Wii U will output some sound to the TV if you chose this, of course, if the developers took advantage of it, and it will output other sounds to the gamepad, whether or not you were playing on the gamepad strictly. So that was really a cool thing to me. And when I think about that feature, imagine this. Imagine a sound setting that simulated surround sound. For example, what if you were playing Call of Duty or any, game that had surround sound, and it would play the front, left, right, and center like on your television, and the gamepad left and right will handle the surround sound, or the rear left and right. That would be pretty damn cool. It was there for the taking, just people didn't want to take advantage of it. They didn't want to put in the work to do it. But that could have created a cool, ambient, realistic setting for most people to really immerse you into a game and its environment. Next up, the Wii U was a system that allowed for dual screen co-op, which was epic, although it was used only a few times. That was pretty damn cool. Not split screen like you see on the Xbox and the PlayStation and other consoles, but literally dual screen. So for example, with Call of Duty Black Ops, and I mentioned this in previous videos, when you would choose online co-op or whatever, player one using the Pro controller will be on the television. Player two using the gamepad will play strictly on the gamepad. Yeah, now you could argue that player one had an advantage because they had a bigger display and it was 720p, 1080p, whatever the case it was, and the gamepad was strictly limited to 480p, but still, there was there was the ability to give each player their own screen, so no screen spying. What other system has done that? What other system has done that, has given us that feature? Dual screen co-op on the same console. No second console needed. All right. The Wii U was also a system that contained everything the predecessor did. It was truly two systems in one. Not just a system that can play the old games. The Wii U actually contained a fully functional Wii within its architecture. For example, the Xbox 360, you could play some original Xbox games. They promised full backwards compatibility, but we know how that happened. It's only about 100 titles. But that's it. You can play some of the old games. We didn't give you the old UI and stuff like that. But the Wii U, you can actually go into Wii mode. And it had all the UI, all the features of the original Wii. All of it. The only thing you couldn't do is play GameCube games, but I heard there was maybe like a small patch that allowed you to do that with the Wii U, but that's neither here nor there. But still, everything except play GameCube games. But it was a fully functional Wii within the Wii U in every way. Now some can argue, well, the PS2 could play PS1 games. I give you that. That's true. But I don't believe you can use your PS1 accessories for the PS2. I could be wrong, but I cannot recall exactly. I do have a PS1 and PS2. It's just been a while. And you know the funny thing? With it having a fully functional Wii within it, and it was compatible with all Wii accessories, controllers, and games. All of them. Do you know that some people complain about having to click a single on-screen option to access Wii mode? It was on the main screen. You have to go through a whole list of options. It was like you cut the game on the main UI, you just click one button, Wii mode, and that's it. People complained about that. That's lazy. That's like complaining about having to get up and put a game into your console, which some people have done. Unfortunately, some people have done that. But yeah, I never heard the same complaint from Xbox One users having to install Xbox 360 games in order to play them, although they do have the physical disc. But we're not going to talk about that. From launch, the Wii U supported external hard drives, flash drives, and SD cards. Did the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 support external hard drives at launch? I don't think so. Do they have SD card slots? No. They don't. Kind of sad, actually. Something the Wii U did in 2012, launch day, the PlayStation 4 just acquired earlier this year in 2017. And the Xbox One did it maybe a year or so prior. That's sad. But you know, people want to use the excuse, it's 2017. Well, I can use the excuse that, hey, it was 2012. Why can't I, use an external hard drive on my PS4 or Xbox One? Just something to think about. And I think I mentioned earlier, but this system was able to output to 2 different displays simultaneously, which will be the TV and the gamepad, with virtually no lag. Didn't Sony promise this with the PlayStation 3 and never ever delivered on it, not even remotely? They promised 2 1080p displays and could barely manage one. Hell, even the PS4 is having a hard time managing one. But the Wii U, let's say a game like Smash Brothers, which didn't utilize a gamepad in innovative ways, but it was 1080p 60 frames per second on a television, and that's native, not upscaled, while also being native 480p on the gamepad. It did this simultaneously. So imagine that if you really put the numbers together, Smash Brothers 4 for the Wii U was literally 1540p. I'm sorry, 1560p. If you're 480p on the gamepad, 1080p on the television, we add those two together, that's essentially 1560p. 1560p, 60 frames per second. That's amazing. But yeah, you had people always talking about, oh, well, you know, the Wii U is a weak console. Can't even play games 1080p. Well, essentially, almost every game that utilized the gamepad, even to some extent, the Wii U was always running at 1200p. If the game was in 720p on the television, native, and 480p on the gamepad, whether it be the actual game itself, similar to Smash Brothers, or just showing a different display, a different perspective, even still, that the console's output into the display on the gamepad simultaneously while you're playing on television. So you know what that means? 720p plus 480p equals 1200p. The Wii U was always outputting more or less at 1200p. Yeah. Just saying, people. System was doing more than you thought. Now let's change the tune, you know, just quickly for a bit. The Pro Controller. Now, I love the Switch Pro Controller. I love it. It is a great controller. I think it's the best one out there. But before the Switch Pro Controller came out, the Wii U Pro Controller was a beast. And although it didn't have a headphone jack, that bitch had 80 hours of battery life. You could literally charge that thing like 4 times a year and still get by. I knew people that they game pretty often, and they would tell me, yeah, I charge my Pro Controller like once every 2 to 3 months. Yeah. 80 hours. Tell me what other controller has lasted that long. I'll wait. 80 hours, people, on a single charge. That's amazing. Nothing comes close to that. And even the Pro Controller of the Switch is 40 hours, but it has a lot more going on inside of it, so that's understandable. But 80 hours was magnificent. It really was. Okay. So now we covered that. The Wii U literally allowed you to play most games without a television. I remember Liger Venduo, shout out to him, when he took a trip to Japan, because he's actually one of the few people that truly that works within the industry, the gaming industry. He's not just a YouTuber that claims he does, but he took a trip to Japan, and he actually showed a video of him playing, I believe it was Bayonetta 2 on the plane. Now we know Bayonetta 2 is an exclusive Wii U title. It runs at 1080p, 60 frames per second. He was playing this strictly on his gamepad. Now, of course, the gamepad is 480p, but still, no TV on that he was using. It was his gamepad. No internet required. Just the Wii U, an outlet, and the gamepad. It was literally a portable console, similar to the Switch right now, just a much bigger form factor, but still. Back in 2012, you were able to take your Wii U out of the house and play it in the car. If you had an outlet over someone else's house without a TV, you could do that. The Switch is just basically the perfected version of that. Now let's move on to some of the software features of the Wii U. Nintendo TV. It was nice, especially for sporting events. I'm not sure how many of you actually use it. I use it a few times. I'm not a big sports person, but I did utilize it a few times. You know, for college football and the NFL and basketball, it was pretty cool seeing people use it for that, and then they would post comments. I think it was like it was attached to Miiverse at the time, but seeing that was pretty awesome. It was a pretty cool integration for sports fans, primarily. I'm pretty sure Nintendo had much bigger plans for it, but since it wasn't used as much, they canned it. At least in America, they canned it. But it was a nice feature. It really was. And then, of course, the Wii U has one of, if not the best, activity trackers of any console. Man, showing the amount of hours you put into a game per day specifically, and the amount of time in the game over game's lifetime. And you can look at the monthly, the amount of time you play the game per month. It will even give you the stats of software, like how much you watch Netflix, Hulu, Amazon. Use the web browser. It gave you stats on everything, and I hope they bring that to the Switch. I really do. But it was a great activity tracker. I knew someone that essentially used the web browser for over 2,000 hours. Of course, like myself, they primarily use it for anime. But you can see that. And that's actually a great segue. The web browser. The best browser of any console of all time. Yeah. I use it constantly to watch anime. And I won't mention the website, but people that have done the same thing, they know which ones work. But yeah. I watched probably over 1,000 hours of anime on the Wii U. I love the way you could actually suspend the game and then open a web browser to browse for whatever you wanted. Essentially, you really could. It didn't have to be gaming related. It was a full-fledged web browser. I've looked up forums, blogs, cheats, whatever for certain games. It even had a privacy mode where you can hit, I think it's like the X button, and it will pull curtains over your web browser on the television while you were still looking at it on the gamepad. Yeah. So if you didn't want people in the room to see what you were looking up for whatever reason, not sure why, you could do that. But yeah, the best web browser ever. And the weakest 8th-gen console. Can you believe that? The gamepad also functioned as an IR remote for your TV, set-top box, etc. And it was very, very intuitive. You could even use it without ever turning on the system itself. Now that was badass. You could literally hit the TV button on the gamepad without waking the Wii U up at all, and use it to turn on your television, change the channel, the input, turn on your set-top box, do the same thing. It was great. I used it more than a few times. A lot, actually. It was great. It still works well today. And setting it up was, I'm telling you, I think even a 6-year-old could do it. But that's Nintendo for you. What's next? It was the first console to include an HDMI cable standard in the box. Not even the Xbox 360 and PS3 did that, although they were HD systems, although their games, the bulk of their games were sub HD, just upscaled to HD. But they gave you basically AV cables. The Wii U actually gave you an HDMI cable in the box. Now I think the Xbox One and PS4 followed suit, but of course that's 2013. Wii U did it first. The Wii U gave us the best interactive UI, in my opinion. What am I talking about? Wada Plaza. Displaying what games are trending and dozens, if not well over 100 Mii's that are either playing them and or commenting on them via Miiverse. That was cool as hell to see. Seeing all the Mii's run on the screen, and it has about 8 games on display. Various games. And depending on how many folks are playing them, it will have the number of Mii's on there. So, I mean, it wasn't an accurate representation, but it was more like, okay, Mario Kart 8 just came out. You see like 30 Mii's on the Mario Kart 8 alone. That doesn't mean 30 million people are playing. It just simply means that, hey, a lot of people, especially your friends, are playing this game. And it would show their like the most recent comment regarding that game as well. Pretty cool. You can even interact with the Mii's and then click on the person's Mii, look at their comment, and then you can go look at that Mii and their comment immediately if you wanted to. Pretty cool. The instruction manuals for the games were built into the software itself, and that was very cool. Very, very cool. I like that. You hit the home button while you're playing the game and click on instruction manual. So what you would normally get as a paperback book or whatever, it was now built into the software. Very cool. The system was nigh impossible to hack. In fact, it still has not been fully hacked to this day. Now you hear things about the Breath of the Wild CMU and stuff like that, but it's still very, very unstable. But the system has not been fully hacked, not to my knowledge. No, you never heard about any accounts being hacked or funds being stolen, etc. The system would turn on automatically, well, the gamepad would, to provide automatic promo updates via the gamepad. So you see the gamepad turn on and, talk about a newly released game, a coming game, a new demo that's available, whatever. It was pretty cool. The system used a proprietary medium known as China Blue High Def. Most people don't know this. They call it a Blu-ray, but it's not. It's actually a derivation of the dead HD DVD technology, which had the same capacity as Blu-ray while being far cheaper to produce. Plus, it had these dull, rounded edges, which was a nice touch and nice to the touch. In other words, it was the only 8th gen console able to run all games strictly off the disc. No installs needed. Yeah, that's a little salt being thrown. I'm trolling. But yeah, straight off the disc. Even games that were on both the Wii U and the Xbox and PS4, the Wii U version did not require an install whatsoever. Imagine that. It was a system that allowed 5-player local co-op gameplay out of the box. No multi-tap needed. No internet needed. You can use 4 Wiimotes and the gamepad and have 5-player gameplay. Local. Nintendo Land's a prime example. Mario Party 10, prime example. Nobody else does that. And last but not least, it did all these things I just mentioned, this entire video, while consuming less power than the Wii did. Yes, the Wii U was actually more efficient power-wise than the Wii. That's amazing. How are you more powerful in every way, have far more features, and you produce less energy? You require less energy to operate. That's amazing. So, for me, the Wii was the most supported console I ever owned. I owned over 50 games for it that are physical, not including the indie games. I love the console, and I must say it was a very underappreciated console. Very much so. I hate that. And I hope its features come back around in the Switch or a future console. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. And as I always say, keep it gaming.